Today we're going to be discussing a few new terms in our industry. I still remain confident that SEO is still fundamental to everything that's going on. We started the industry to facilitate the relationship between the machine and human beings. AI optimization is pretty much the same. We make sure that businesses are relevant and accessible, known to the machine for them to bring them up as solutions to problems. So the fundamental part is really the same. It has always been like that. But there are other things to keep in mind because generative AI platforms do not work exactly like traditional search engines. And that is important to know why we do need to call those tactics for AI optimization something else to distinguish the difference between the old traditional SEO and what we need to do to be still findable when those search results and answers are AI generated. nsmarty.com is where my newsletter lives. For more information, more examples and references, please check out nsmarty.com. In my newsletter, I use just two acronyms. So first one is GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, and the other one is more generic AI optimization. I think for now, I'll stick to these terms, GEO and AIO. As you can see, there are two sections in most AI platforms. They may be designed in different ways. This is AI mode. Gemini looks very similar to that. ChatGPT also looks very similar. There are answers and there are citations. Those are two different technologies. They work absolutely differently. So the optimization for both of them is also absolutely different strategies. That's why we need at least two acronyms for that. AI optimization is optimizing brands and websites to be included in the answer itself. So if you want to be part of the solution that ChatGPT, Gemini, AI mode gives to people's prompts and queries, that is optimizing for being in the AI answer. There are also citations and references to those answers that people can click. Not many will, I suppose, because the answers are really great. But if you want to be cited and referenced as the source for that answer, that is an absolutely different technology that is called Generative Engine Optimization. And those could be also optimization strategies for AI search engines. We know there are at least two now. There is Perplexity and there is GPT search. Those two can also fall into this category. So anytime you want to be referenced as the source, as the link, as the reference, that is GEO. So AI optimization. How do those AI answers work? None of the known AI platforms store URLs. They don't know where they get information from. Think about your real mind. When you recall something you know and you can answer the question, you don't necessarily know where you source that information from. That's exactly how AI platforms and algorithms work. They have their training data, and when someone asks the question, they get it from their existing training data. They update that training data. Every platform is different at how fast they update that data. Claudia is the slowest. Gemini is the quickest because it does rely on Google's knowledge and Google's index. ChatGPT is somewhere in the middle, but much faster than when it started. When it started, went back to like 5 years ago. Now it's pretty up to date, but still not as fast as Gemini. So they update that training data, but they do not store the references. They basically don't know where they are getting those answers from. So when you ask the question and you want to be part of the answer, you need to be part of that training data. They don't know which website you have, unless that's your brand name. They don't know which URL they knew about you from, but they know which context your brand is referenced in. And the more consistent that digital footprint, that training data around your brand is, the higher the probability is that you will show up in the answer as the solution to a specific problem. Differentiating yourself as a brand and narrow down, know exactly which problems you are solving for each segment of demographics or your audience. Know exactly how you're solving them and how you stand out in the competitors. This is key to being part of the training data. It's not about really number of contexts that you show up in. Yes, it is a good idea to be in as many as you can, but it's also the relevant context that is specific to that problem. I'll give a quick idea. So when someone is searching for something like, I need to buy shoes, but I need to be able to try them on, what Gemini or ChatGPT will be thinking, how they will be thinking about this prompt. So they know you need shoes, you know you want to buy them. They can give you both local and online web stores where you can. If it's online store, they will be thinking, okay, there should be very good free return policies, but also a good option will be if that brand has try before you buy option, because that's the base case scenario when you don't have to pay until you are sure that you are not returning those products. So what the criteria for an online retailer is, it's online, it sells shoes, it has free returns, possibly if it's 30-day returns, and if they allow you to try before you buy. If your brand has digital footprint where you're mentioned in the context of these 4 concepts, then you will be likely the answer to that problem, or at least one of the answers. That is how it works. If you sell shoes, but you don't have other things that are in the prompt, you will not be the answer to that question. So being very well defined through your own site, through your social media content, through your blog, through your external earned media sources. When people talk about you on Reddit, on Google reviews, anywhere they can leave reviews, they talk about these great options, great shoe quality, great returns, and they let you try before you buy. So you need to make sure that the most part of everything, of everyone talking about you online, is talking about these 3 things. Those are your value proposition specifics that you want to make very clear to people and to AI engines. That's how you are part of the AI answer. If you are vague, if you're trying to be good at everything, AI is very easily confused. And this is where my problem lies as well as a personal brand, because throughout 20 years, more than 20 years in my SEO career, I happen to be known by many things. I started as the search engine journal blogger, and then expert, and then editor. Then I became guest blogging expert, that is about content marketing. Then I became known as search analyst and community manager for Internet Marketing Ninjas. Now I'm trying to pivot to AI because that's where most businesses are concerned about and lost and confused about too. So there are too many things that I'm known for. So which question I'm the answer for, their AI can be confused. If you are building your digital footprint or you are looking back at that, that's what you need to fix. So if I were to fix that, I would go through all my bios, even old one, those that are 15 years, 20 years old. I would go to all my social media profiles, old interviews, old podcasts that introduce me as an expert in something else, and I would ask them, please edit everything, external articles or press releases, or even your blog. If you think about that, if you've heard that HubSpot removed like 30% of their articles that do not talk about conversions, CRMs, and in this context, that is not such a bad idea to be really, really relevant on your site as well. That would be the first step. Looking at your site, actually talk about your product positioning, brand positioning, your actual value proposition, and how it is different and unique based on your competition, which problems you are solving, for who, and why you're best at that. That is AI optimization. That is how you become part of the answers, solution to problems people are researching using AI platforms. Now, GEO is a different, absolutely different technology. After the answer is generated, and it is determined that it is helpful for people to also have links to further reading, because sometimes AI can think, wait, this is a very factual question. I know for sure what the answer is. This is what you need, and there will be no links at all. But when the AI decides that it needs to be further researched, those people may benefit from actually clicking the links and seeing more information there. They do a separate call. They do separate search, and that's different platforms do it differently. Gemini relies on Google's index. ChatGPT relies on several things, including Bing index. So they call URLs, and whichever is more easy to understand, they pull as the source. So sometimes actual answers do not include actual sources. That would be different set of URLs. To get to that point, that is where GEO works. You do need very clear wording. You do need answers, one paragraph answers to questions in headers. That is very similar to how we optimized for featured snippets. You need very factual, clear answers, no vague words, just clear answer to a clear question. That's how you make it easy for AI to pull those answers and reference you as the source. Schema is great as well, makes it easier. If you have FAQs, why don't you use FAQ schema, organization schema? So that GEO part is much more similar to SEO. The only difference there is fan out technique. That is when AI is trying not just give the answer to the prompt or to the query, but also try to expand to something people might find useful to make more informed decisions. Instead of just listing solutions or just listing brands, they may also want to give information on how to make a better choice, what else to check, what else to find, what else to ask. So that would be their way to make it more helpful. Optimization for those fan out queries is basically the guessing game. What I can suggest is just use your common sense, your knowledge of your customers, what they might find helpful. Also, BuzzSumo does a great semantic analysis for any keyword and generates related questions, not just directly relevant questions. And also Gemini 2.5 Pro and other platforms are now showing reasoning, what they are thinking about for every prompt. So you can try that as well, ask something that is relevant to your brand and where you want to be referenced, and you will see exactly how Gemini is thinking in terms of what else someone will need to answer that question. Finally, link building. Link building is still key as well. That's why it's all actually SEO, because we still keep talking about the same tactics, but they're a little bit reframed to those specifics of how AI works. Again, link building is great if you do that right, if those links put you in the right context. You do need co-citation links that is mentioned next to your competitors, great PR links that is talking about unique data, uniqueness of your site as well. That's what we specialize in, so ask us how that could happen. Reddit mentions, they may be not linked links, but just mentions is great as well, because Reddit is being used by both Google and OpenAI for their AI training data. So having presence there is very important. So all of those are great methods to generate backlinks and brand mentions in very relevant context based on what you are doing. So what is SEO here? SEO is all of that. All of those tactics will help with organic search as well, while we still have it. So it's not like something extra you have to be doing for AI, a little bit of repackaging of what you're currently doing, knowing how AI works. That's what those two acronyms are. And finally, SEO is search everywhere optimization. That's how we call it now. So it's not just about search engines like Google, it's optimizing for everything, for every intent-based online discovery, searching for solutions to their problems. That is intent-based. Search, traditional search engines, AI search engines, AI answer generators, all of those are the same idea. They are intent-based product or brand discovery. SEO is all of that. What good is the AIO when there are no links? It looks like GEO is more important for clicks. That depends how you make money. If you are a publisher, yes, you want to be in the link section. But most businesses are not about having content that needs clicks. They are about brand visibility. They can convert in sales. So if you want to be named as the destination for buying shoes, buying something else, being a top lawyer, being a top SEO expert, if you want to be there as the answer to the problem, that is the best conversion rate you can only think of. So depending on your business model and how you make money, it could vary. For most businesses, you want to be part of the answer as well, not just clicks. Clicks are not as important for those businesses as conversions. And that's how conversions happen, when you become the answer to the specific problem.
So how can small brands compete with major brands and AI's eyes if it's more brand driven now when what comes up in the results?
It's not as much about brand awareness at this point, which is something we were talking about in context of traditional Google search, when the more mentions you have, the more links you have, the more visible you are. For AI, it's more important how relevant you are to a specific problem. How you can compete, you can be very specific about what and why you are solving. I can give a quick example from like groceries shopping. I have 3 stores in my neighborhood. They are all pretty much the same distance from my house. One of them is organic. The other one is local. The third one is cheap, Walmart. Depending on what I need, or depending on my budget, if I have to buy a lot of a huge crowd, where would I go? I would go to Walmart. If I buy something for dinner, I probably go to organic store or local. I have favorite products in my local store. This is pretty much AI mind is working as well, depending on the needs in the prompt. Regardless that Walmart is the hugest of all of these 3 options. Regardless of that, I will not choose Walmart if it does not fit my specific needs at this specific problem. The job of a small business is to make it very clear what needs you are serving, very specific needs. Every business has those. That will not only get you visibility in those specific prompts, but it will also help you with your return customers, with your word of mouth. So it's not just for AI to be known by something very specific and to solve very specific problems. So it's not just for AI. You will see much better results from your other marketing channels, including organic search as well. So it's such a beautiful thing to do. It's not just how well you are covered. You may not be mentioned in New York Times, but you mentioned on local or very niche specific publications that are providing you with very specific context, and that is the training data for AI prompt with that specific problem, you will likely be the answer.